Peter, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to our office hours. Today we will be talking about essentially random stuff, answering random questions from participants. I believe a lot of our participants to be are still processing the masterclass that just finished, which was a presentation on how we built it of the Slate service, which I really recommend you guys watch online when it appears. So let's see if we have any questions. We don't have anything yet. So let me share my screen real quick while we're waiting, I guess, and see where we are with the slingshot competition. Towards about that, for those of you who don't know, the slingshot competition is essentially the second phase of our space race activities, which started back in August, actually not almost, 5 weeks ago, so over a month ago. We started first with a lot of miners trying to onboard a lot of storage. We did a lot of debugging. We did a lot of various adjustments, tuning. We even implemented something that Ethereum has wanted to implement for a year, I believe now, their proposal for fee scheduling and how to increase the throughput of the network, and we just went ahead and implemented this ourselves. And now the Ethereum folks are observing how it works in production. They're pretty happy to see that design is working. So anyway, now we go to our second part of the competition, where after we debug pretty much everything there has to be debugged about miners trying to pledge and show to the decentralized trustless network that they do have storage and they can maintain the storage online and available over periods of time. Now we are focused on trying to streamline how you put data on Filecoin as a client. So Slingshot is this competition for clients who are essentially trying to put what we call authentic data sets on the Filecoin network. An authentic data set can be anything that is considered useful or culturally significant or something of that matter to a general participant in the Filecoin network. So we are not encouraging, in fact, we're actively discouraging people to just pipe dev0 or dev-random into Filecoin. We are actually asking people to put stuff on the network. And we are already 1 week in. This competition started exactly 7 days ago. And by now, we are actually doing pretty well. We already have 32 terabytes of data that is usable by others placed on the Filecoin network. This data is also being is accompanied by an app that the teams competing in this phase of space race are putting together, an app that allows you to browse what is available in this particular set of data that was put on Filecoin. It might be just data for download. Like I know that there is a person putting together a bunch of podcasts and just putting them on Filecoin, and there will be a portal where you can see what is being available, and if you want, actually pull them out of Filecoin with your client or with your PowerGate node, all the way to things like Slate, which are essentially, it's difficult for me to describe Slate because it's so awesome, but what Slate offers is essentially the user content that is being created and normally was hosted on IPFS, is now also backed up to Filecoin for all participants in the in the Slate playground. So yeah, so that's where we are, and let me double check how we're doing on questions. One moment, I lost my screen. All right, so we don't have any questions yet. So let me keep talking, I guess, about where space race is right now. Let's just go through the board and see what else is there. So as I was saying, we have 32 terabytes of data already onboarded. We also have some extra metrics here. We have average data per participant. When we say participant, we essentially are saying a client who has been either already registered in the competition and has their logo, their project is merged to the roster of things that are going to be graded and are essentially going to be eligible for the prize pool. And there are also some participants who either have not been totally vetted yet. When I say vetted, we have a very free-form and relatively lightweight process of ensuring that the thing that you're trying to build is, how should I say it, is congruent with the goals of this particular competition. So as I said previously, if you are essentially streaming random data to Filecoin, this app is maybe cool as, I don't know, as a number station, but it's not something that the slingshot competition is trying to achieve. So yeah, so we have, as I was saying, we have, oh, here they are. So 342 participants, and per participant, the average amount of data is 97 gigabytes, almost 100 gigabytes each, which is pretty cool. Again, to stress, we are in the very beginning of this competition. Folks are still figuring out how to set things up, how to get either how to get set up with PowerGate, which at this point is the recommended way to try to interact with Filecoin if you're just beginning, or trying to set their local Lotus node. And people are figuring out how to deal with, how to deal with miner selection, how to essentially figure out who to make deals with. They were figuring out how to arrange their data and so on and so forth. So this number might seem small, but it's actually pretty, pretty significant. And we have average deal size. So a deal in Filecoin context is one-to-one transaction between a client and a miner. So you have all kinds of steps that you take as a client to figure out who do I want to store with. But when you then make your selection, it can be one miner, it can be several. In fact, this competition encourages people to store with at least 3 miners to be qualified for the prize pool. And at the end of the day, every set of data, be it a file or be it a DAG, normally it's a DAG, normally it is essentially a directory of a tree of directories and files that is being represented as a UnixFS tree, just like we normally do in IPFS, and you're familiar with this from the IPFS gateway. And then all of this is put into a proposal with associated payment to a miner, and this is called a deal. So the average deal has been for 310 megabytes of data. Some of them are relatively large, some of them are small, so it's just average. And we have our 100,000, our 100,010 deals. I'm sorry, 110,000 deals already on the network. Yeah, reading numbers is hard. And yeah, let's see, do we have any questions yet? Not yet, I guess. Okay, so let me talk just a little bit more about the leaderboard and go through a few of the projects here. I actually do not know the details of each individual participant, but I want to show you like how this is organized and what the process for people getting on this board. So for example, let's take, I don't know, mapping cloud pen, whatever it is, let's find out. So we're going to click on them and it's going to take us to, okay, it's going to take us to a place which is unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, unfortunately, I do not know the language in which this is implemented in. So I cannot really tell you what this does. Let me try to see a different project real quick. Coffee dog. Okay, this could be something with coffee. I like coffee. Well, I don't like it, but I need it. Let's see. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, let's see if we click on them, it should take us to their project info. So let's see what Coffee.doc is about. It's a public search engine platform for academic research to search and download and conduct related research. All right, so I guess these guys are trying to put together a number of data sets. You can I really should up my game in languages. I'm not really getting Chinese. Yeah, but see, so for example, this particular participant, they took a number of data sets, which I assume are like, obviously this one has something to do with Kinect, but I assume this is some sort of anonymized machine learning database or something like that. And they have the individual files, and here is the miner with which they made the particular deal. And those are, I believe, those would be, right, those would be the payload CIDs. So you should be able to go to this miner and ask for this particular deal and be able to return. Let's see what this does. I don't know what this does. Yeah, so right. So yeah, that's the kind of apps that people are building, like just within a week. And if it weren't for my lack of internationality, I would be able to actually tell you more about this particular data set. Let's see if we have any other questions. All right, so I have a question here. When would you use Lotus as a developer? So this is an interesting question. Today, we essentially are steering people for the time being to PowerGate, about which there was a masterclass about 2 days ago, I believe, on Monday, which PowerGate is a managed solution that bundles an IPFS node, a Lotus node, and I'll explain in a moment what Lotus is, and an orchestrated daemon that basically allows you to interact with the Filecoin network, just like you would want to interact with it in a more point and clicky kind of way, with a nice UX Chrome and so on and so forth. So let me step back and talk a little bit about what Lotus actually is. So Lotus is our initial reference implementation of Filecoin. This is the software that currently is powering the space race network, what was formerly our testnet, and this is the software that will power the mainnet network once we are after our liftoff date, which currently is in about 2 weeks. We are pretty confident we're going to hit it, but you know, blockchains are hard, so hopefully everything will go just fine. And so Lotus is this piece of software that you could get. It's all open source. You can compile it yourself. You can build it on even something as your MacBook. And you will be able to actually interact with the Filecoin network. You would want to follow the instructions on the documentation side for Lotus pretty closely, because there are a few specifics of how you need to build it for the performance to be acceptable, and also you want to start your synchronization to the chain for the time being from a trusted snapshot, because we haven't done all the work yet to optimize syncing from scratch. So basically, you just start a node and you go to the network, and you get all the data that's out there about our blockchain. This currently takes a little bit longer than we would like. So in the documentation, you will find how to get essentially up and running in about 40 minutes with Lotus, from download through compilation, through configuration, through getting the chain, through syncing with the chain, and being able to to interact with the network in real time. So when to use Lotus as a developer? If you are comfortable with all the steps that I outlined, and you are interested in in tinkering with things, you definitely should give Lotus a try. However, if you just want to get on the Lotus network, on the Filecoin network right now, and you want to start uploading data pretty much right away, after you obviously make yourself a new Filecoin wallet, and you get some test Filecoin in it from our Filecoin faucet, because in order to propose a deal to somebody, you need to put some Filecoin on the line, so that the other side will be interested in taking your deal and your data. So you could if you want to get started really quickly, then our current recommendation is to use a PowerGate node, because a lot of the portions of the activities that I just described are already done for you. So the nodes are configured correctly. There's already a warm cache IPFS node running right next to your Lotus node, and you can literally pull stuff from the wider internet via IPFS and put on Filecoin. You can use this IPFS node as the cache between Filecoin and your user. So whenever you store something on Filecoin, you don't have to retrieve it right away if you already have it in your cache. So it basically depends on your level of interest in the functionality of Filecoin, or how Filecoin actually is built. And it also depends on how exactly you want to use the network. So if you're only interested in the file storage and file retrieval part of this, I recommend PowerGate. If you're interested in figuring out how our chain actually works, how our multi-sig function, how you can send messages that are not related to the Filecoin network, for this, of course, you will need a Lotus node. Yes, so let's see. I think we have one more question here. Talk about the tricky things to get the Lotus node up and running, syncing chain, etc. So I actually covered a bunch of them. This question was asked before I answered the first one. But yeah, as I said, in general, you want to be pretty. You want to follow the documentation pretty closely, because, as I said, there are caveats in how you build it. You almost certainly want to have Rust locally, and in addition to Go. So let me step back a little bit. Filecoin has essentially multiple parts, one of which is the proof system, which ensures that, which basically takes care of all the crypto magic, so to speak, that allows a node to, allows a miner to prove to the network, to an anonymous swarm of peers that not only they have some data, that they had this data for a certain period of time, and that this data is still accessible and is there. This entire part is implemented in Rust, and it is essentially a separate project called RESTful Proofs. And there are other implementations of Filecoin that are getting up to speed now that will be able to interoperate with the same network. One of them is written in Rust entirely, one of them is written in C++. But all of them are using the same proof system module, and taking care of compiling this part is pretty important, because if you don't compile it the right way with all the CPU options on your machine in which you're running enabled, then you will have a lot of performance issues and unfriendly things like that. So you want to compile it correctly. You want to run your node and maybe your miner. If you're a miner, you want to run the data store on a relatively nimble disk, so something like an NVMe or at least an SSD, because when we sync the chain and to make sure that the things are put together and that the blocks that you got are referencing the correct blocks and so on and so forth, this takes a lot of disk reads. So you want to make sure that your IO subsystem is relatively decent. Lotus currently, just the node, is a little bit hungry in terms of memory. So you probably want to make sure that you have about 32 gigs of memory available for it to do its thing. 16 is still okay. 8 is like very hard. It will be swapping a lot back and forth. And the chain sync I already spoke about. You basically need to at this stage, we recommend that you just download one of our snapshots, and we are working on signing them correctly and basically ensuring that both the snapshots are quicker to download than they are right now, and that they are verifiable by external means, that it was Protocol Labs or another trusted party that actually produced the snapshots. And yeah, other than that, yeah, Lotus is just like any other Go program, and it runs pretty well. Yeah, so those are for the caveats. Let's see if we have any other question and check the time. Yeah, so I guess everybody was pretty blown away by the Slate presentation earlier, right before this office hours. I actually don't see any new questions at present. Yeah, Jason, what do you think? Should we give it another I don't know, 5 minutes, or folks are seemingly busy doing other things and participating in the slingshot competition?
Yeah, finish up whenever you're done, but we can give a bit of extra time.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, it's the 30-minute mark. So I guess thank you everybody who listened to me ramble for about 30 minutes about various topics. And I believe we will be closing this office hours for today. I would encourage you to check out our series around Slingshot called How We Build This, where various folks will be talking about various challenges that they ran into when trying to do things exactly for Space Race 2, both in terms of arranging data or collecting data, or I don't know, figuring out how to run a Lotus node stably and things like that. So a lot of various reports from the field, so to speak. And yeah, And yeah, in our chat, we just posted the URL with all the upcoming events on our Slingshot website. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for the attention, and I'll see you on the interwebs.